Alright, good morning internets. I'm just doing this quick video here. Well, we'll see how quick. I'm not exactly concise. But I'm just doing this quick video here as a sort of update as to some of the things going on the wonderful online presence that is the Classical Martial Arts Research Academy. um, yeah, check my checklist here. Alright, so the first thing that I've been working on for the past while is actually kind of really cool. Many of the followers here have probably, due to my sharing and or associated networks, noticed that Dr. Kasem Zogari and some of his students have sort of built a website called Onmitsukage. Um, it's kind of a really cool platform, basically the Netflix for Kasem seminars. I'm personally pretty excited for this as for as long as I've known of Kasem, I've only been able to see him once a year. He's really shaped my own training and my approach and depth of my practice. And so it's been tricky at best to get any sort of instruction from him. And even then, it's a seminar. What kind of instruction is that really, right? So he's been more of an inspiration and a guiding force behind my training. Um, so in any case, they recently sort of made this like Netflix of seminars. They've got like 10 years of seminars recorded, so this is kind of really exciting. Um, so yeah, that's a thing. And when this platform first came out, the first thing I did was I grabbed my notebook and went to town taking notes. And well, anyone that's seen my notes knows how comprehensive and how excessive they can be. So I ended up contacting the Onmitsu guys and basically saying, hey, I've got these crazy giant documents. Like the average one of my PDFs here is about 20 pages, 14 to 20 pages worth of notation and etc. In fact, I've got one of them up right uh, here. There we go. Let's shrink down this ugly mug. There. So here's the latest one that I've done for the November 2015 Gyokuryu Kopujutsu seminar in Germany. Um, and so, understandably, not a lot of people have heard of Kopujutsu from Gyokuryu, or the only source they've heard of is from Kasem. And so that raises all sorts of questions. And so, yeah, what I generally do is I loosely transcribe the entire seminar, be it the things Kasem says, the things I see, um, and then I of course add my own notes because this is essentially my notes. Boom, 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 there. First technique of Gyokuryu Kopujutsu, Hyokotsu, also known as Mote Hane. And then, boom, description of what's going on, how he explains it, and then I actually take the time to create sort of diagrams of it and extra notes. So this document here is 12 pages at, I can't remember, something like 5,000 words. You know, first variation, boom, grab, you move in a certain way, these sorts of things. So there is a considerable amount of content in regards to this. There, there, and then yeah, this particular seminar was on Gyokuryu Kopujutsu Jojutsu, so the 5 or so foot staff, I think it's like 5.2 feet, and Kenjutsu, so Gyokuryu Kenjutsu, the fabled Tojutsu. So in any case, that's one of the things I've been doing here, and that sun is right in my face. And yeah, so I've contacted the Onmitsukage guys, and they agreed to actually host my notes here on the website for subscribers. So that's awfully cool. I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback on that, which case I recommend if you guys do want to give me feedback on that, do it through the testimony option on the Onmitsukage Facebook page. That's where it'll be able to offer the best use. Alternatively, you can also leave testimonies of my work on the CMARA or Classical Martial Arts Research Academy's page. That's always really nice too. I appreciate more of that. And so yeah, that's the first thing I was going to bring up here today, is that I've been doing that. That's a lot of cool, incredibly time consuming. Um, if anyone wants to donate some money towards my efforts and appreciate this, I don't personally get a cut from the Omitsu Kage subscription service. This is completely volunteer at this point. Um, so I do have a Patreon site that can go an awful long way in helping support my efforts here, help to cover the bills, so to speak. And I'll go on more about that later. The other thing I've recently done, well, over the past several years, since 2008 or so, when I first started studying Japanese, um, Hatsumi Sensei's book, The Unarmed Fighting Techniques of the Samurai, had come out, and yeah, I was always really super impressed with this. It's chock full of many of the fundamental unarmed fighting kata of the Bujinkan, at least, what, 6 traditions? Yeah, 6 of the traditions. Yeah, Gyokuryu, Kotoryu, Togakuryu, Shinen Furyu, Takagyo Shuryu, and Kukishinryu. So, yeah, 6 of the traditions right there. Boom, 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 boom. Has most of the unarmed fighting kata to it. Wonderfully comprehensive. I've enjoyed working with this since 2008 when it came out, and just love the bits out of it. But that being said, I found that the English translation section was notably lacking in many ways. One of the big ways was that there was a lot of actual translation errors. Even things as simple as the technique saying in the Japanese section to punch with the left hand, the English section will say to punch with the right, or grab with the right, or above and under end up being swapped, and these sorts of descriptions end up being false. In many cases, disabling the technique as described altogether. Holy cow, there's the first housefly there. And so since 2008, I've been basically at my leisure retranslating them all. Thankfully, with these Kodansha publications, it's common to have the Japanese at the back of the book, which I think is one of the coolest features I would love to see in more translation works. As you'll see in a second, I have done very similar in my own approach. Yeah. So in any case, this leads to the other thing. So I've been translating these chapters bit by bit, not all the commentary, and all Hatsumi's rather difficult to break apart Japanese, but specifically the techniques. Mostly because for a long time I was totally a technique collector, and I'll fess up to that. Even now I'm always excited to see new techniques, but I'm finally at the stage where I'm starting to look for the common denominators between the techniques to find out what they're expressing. But in any case, the kata is kind of important. It is our connection to the lineage in question, and it tells us a lot about the sort of biomechanics in each tradition. Once you figure out how to fill in the gaps, you know, build the mortar that makes up the foundation of the tradition. So in any case, in translating these for a long time, I knew that it might be potentially controversial for some of the translators that worked on the original work for me to just be retranslating and republishing this sort of stuff. So I opted not to publish it because there's already more than enough content to republish it. But so what I recently decided to do was I actually released the translations on my profile on ResearchGate.org, and yeah, I started sharing it with the open online community, and so far it's skyrocketed in visits. I've gotten 1,500 views in the past week just from publishing Gyokuryu, Kotoryu, and Togakuryu chapters. I'm only about halfway finished through Kukishinden, which I'm actually working on this morning, and I don't have a lot of time to work on it, but here we are. And yeah, so I published that on ResearchGate. I've provided the links on my Facebook page, and And well, the links I'm providing are actually to my Patreon page because, you know, I would actually like to be able to cover my bills, and this stuff isn't exactly light undertakings. So far I've gotten thank yous, which is nice and appreciated, but it would go a long way to, um, have a couple bucks a month to show for my efforts. Tell you right now, telling my friends and family that I've been doing this stuff for free is exciting. So in any case, that's the Onitsukage transcription. There's a tremendous amount of stuff here. Whoa. I break down basically the whole videos. Very rarely do I omit much. When I do, it's usually out of redundancy of some sort. Oh, and I citate. I throw together a lot of my own notes. There's some footnotes for the seminar, and the citations in regards to those notes. So, yeah, that's one of the projects. As for my translation work, here's an example of what that looks like. Oh no, this is the active document, not best example. There we go. There's the Shodengara for Kukishindan Ryu. As you can see, I've got the Japanese and then the English. I leave the Japanese in there and I translate the English as literally as I can. That way, like these used to be my own personal reference notes, but yeah, in regards to this, oh, I missed a section. Ha. Yeah, in regards to this, I basically take the Japanese, leave it there, so if I review it later and my understanding of Japanese has improved or my grasp of the technique has changed, then this isn't set in stone. The Japanese isn't set in, or the English translation isn't set in stone. So I translate it as literally as possible so that I lose as little as I can and maintain the flavor. And when I see fit, I leave the Japanese term in there, have the footnote, so on and so forth. Alrighty, and yeah, so this is the entire Shoden level. That's 3,100 words. And then, yeah, of course, some footnotes and such. But it's always footnotes. So, yeah. Yep. Tremendous amount of work there. And finally, give me but a second. Internet's going nice and slow today. There we go. Alrighty, so here is my Patreon page. I'll have links to all these things. But yeah, it's my Patreon page. Right now I'm not making zip all, and I upload fairly frequently. These are all images that I made myself, photography of my own work, my own photo edits, so on and so forth. Except for that, that's obviously not my picture, but it does link to a wonderful article on stretching, the Junan Taiso exercises. Before that, ryuha undo exercises. Photograph from a bodyguard seminar that I went to, or workshop I went to some time ago. So on and so forth. So it's not exactly an empty profile. Yeah, my actual goals in being on Patreon is to help offset the fact that the work I do consumes a tremendous amount of time, intellectual strain in some cases, and yeah, it would just be super cool to be able to offset some of the time and effort I put into this. But yeah, that's that. If you guys feel that my work has value and you'd like to contribute somehow, Patreon would be the ideal way for me right now. And yeah, I work on this, I want to say part-time, but it probably eats up about 2/3 of my free time. and that's considering the fact that there's a girlfriend in there. There's, you know, I work in numerous other projects well outside of the martial arts, but the martial arts has always been my my sort of core, my go-to. It's my reason why I don't have chairs in my room. I sit on the floor. It's the reason why my walls are lined with weapons and Hojo material, and yeah, makes up the core of my being for the past. Well, I did the math recently. I try not to do the math because when people count, they tend to try and make big numbers, but I found out that it was 24 years now that I've been participating in the martial arts, so that's kind of cool. You know, another one of those hokey pokey guys that started at the age of 6. It was a birthday present, my first karate class. But yeah, tangent aside, I believe we're 16 minutes into this now, so I will conclude that there. Well, quick recap. So yeah, I've been doing those notes for the Omitsukage website. Super cool. They're downloadable there. Please don't ask for them directly because, you know, I'm doing this for those guys. They would like the support, and their platform's not cheap either. I'm familiar with their backend, and it's not cheap. It's one of the reasons why I never got around to doing my video course. But yeah, so in any case, the transcription and notation services that I've done for them, that's a thing. Check that out. Super awesome. My translations I've recently published online for free. Super cool. And Patreon I launched some about 2 months ago, I think now. And yeah, it would go a long way to helping me out if you guys had a buck or two to spare a month. You can cancel at any time. It's super easy platform, and yeah, every dollar really helps to not only offset the bills and whatnot, but you know, show me that my work is valued, and I believe I bring some value to this work, so it would be really encouraging to have some payout on that.